Kirby games are for everyone. This is the main mission that every Kirby game tries to achieve. A game that anyone from any skill level can enjoy. So it stands to reason that multiplayer plays a huge part in the series' identity. I mean, just think about it. No matter if it's siblings playing, or friends playing, or parents with their kids playing, thanks to Kirby being such a fun and accessible franchise, everyone can have a good time. So why is that when in discussion, no one really cares about the multiplayer? You don't see reviewers mention it outside of 2 lines, you don't see people praising it, you don't see people hate it, you just don't see anyone care. At most, you only see that yet another reason to talk shit over Star Allies. And as someone that loves the multiplayer aspect of Kirby games, I find that so interesting. Are people just sleeping on it? Or is there a bigger reason? Well, that's what I want to find out today. Let's take a look back and see how the Kirby series has handled multiplayer in its over 30-year-old run. But to talk about multiplayer, I need multiple players. No worries, I just need to make a quick call.
And that's why Kirby's Dream of Fate is a mess. Who's calling me? Sonico, for the last time, just because I'm Italian, it doesn't mean I know Mario.
Damn it! I mean, anyway, wanna play some Kirby?
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone, it's me, Savi, and today we'll go over every single Kirby mainline game that features multiplayer in some way, shape, or form, to see what makes this forgotten aspect of the series so beloved to the few people who know about it.
We're not tackling the spin-off this time, with an exception, because they are too different and don't mesh well with the main points of the video. That and also there's like 1,000 of those, so if the video performs well enough and you guys want it, hey, we might tackle this subject together one other time. But with introduction out of the way, let's talk about multiplayer in Kirby. The first game in the series that featured multiplayer was
Kirby's Dream Course for the Super Nintendo back in 1994.
Well, yeah, but Kirby Superstar was the first mainline game in the series to feature multiplayer, and even from the very beginning they did a great job at it.
Oh yeah, and apparently Kirby's Avalanche also had multiplayer before that. Huh.
On that note, while Kirby Superstar is not the first game with multiplayer, nor even the first one in its own series, this game is far and above basically any other titles in genre at the time. Every other platformer with multiplayer was just passing the controller to the other player when you beat a level. From what I could find, the most another side-scroller platformer did with multiplayer was Sonic 2 and 3 featuring Tails as a character another player can control. But due to how fast Sonic goes, it was very hard to keep up with each other.
And making it multiplayer wasn't as easy as just adding another character. This was such a hard task to do that the whole game had to be built with co-op as one of the main concepts when developing the game. Even Sakurai admits that, thanks to the copy abilities changing the pace of the game, it might have been even a harder task compared to making a Mario game with multiplayer.
So seeing how Mario took an extra 13 years to do what Kirby did in way weaker hardware, I feel this aspect of the game is not as celebrated as it should.
And that might be because Sakurai did the most Sakurai thing he could, and he designed the co-op in the wackiest way possible with the Helper system. The main concept behind the Helper system is to have it so that you have one player as the lead, while the other one as the support, so that the camera doesn't get stuck between the two and can have more freedom when moving around. This then led into the creation of the ability hats and helpers, the first of which might have just been the single greatest addition to the series since copy abilities, as they not only increased Kirby's charm, but it also ruined the bank account of every Kirby fan.
As to how it works from a gameplay level, well, that gets a little less good. Once Kirby gets an ability, he can then get rid of that ability, but instead of just transforming into a star like in previous games, in Superstar they create a special helper, depending on what ability you use. So for example, if you have Beam, the helper will be a Waddle Doo. They usually controlled by the CPU, but with a second controller, you and your body can play together. This has its positives, especially in the charm factor, as every helper is so full of energy and personality in their animations. Also, the camera works just as intended. It's not the first nor the last game with this type of camera, but I love how snappy it is when the helper is out of screen. Just a quick teleport to Kirby instead of some bubble or other slow ass way to catch up. And I love how much you can interact with your helper. You can do a super jump when you bounce on their heads, your helper can grab onto your legs to get to higher places that you can, and of course, kiss the homies. But by far the best thing you can do is to create a wheel helper and get on his back, jump on him to become Wheelie Rider, a much faster, powerful and cooler version of Will. And if you are in multiplayer, the second player controls the movement while the first player can shoot the strongest stars in the universe. This thing melts bosses.
That's cool and all, but all problems arise when you want your helper to change abilities. For that, you need to get another ability and give that ability to your helper. The problem is that you have no way to get rid of your ability without dropping it for the helper, and the helper has no way of changing abilities whenever they like. Well, you can always kill your Well, you can always kill yourself by taking damage or mashing the A button to then touch another enemy with an ability, but I think that's just a little bit inconvenient. And you can't even enter doors! What's even the f***ing point?
Well, the point is that you still have a great way to play together. Kirby Superstar is already a super fun game, but playing with a friend is even more fun. And if you are in the mood for more, there's always Megaton Punch and Samurai Kirby, which are great. More subgames need to be like these two, they are quick and fun. And that's all you really need for me to boot up any subgame when I wanna break from the main game.
Bro was not letting me win.
Okay, you win.
Nah, I'm kidding. Like,
Oh, go do it. Idiot.
but you know what Super Nintendo game you can enter doors in? That's right, Dreamland 3. Kirby's Dreamland 3 takes a lot from Kirby's Dreamland 2, while also adding a few things from Superstar in its own different way, aka making the game good. And multiplayer is no different. Just like in Superstar, you can press the A button to summon the second player, in this case, the lovable Gooey. Gooey essentially works as another Kirby, but instead of sucking, he licks. He can still do all the things that Kirby does, including using copy abilities, animal friends, and doors. It finally feels like you two have the same level of relevance and not just playing in little brother mode.
And the camera still works like a Superstar. But aside from that, it's true. Dreamland 3 fixes all the problems Superstar had by just making it simpler. Which, being honest, loses some of the charm of all the helpers and all the special interaction between you and your partner. There's no bouncing, no wheelie rider, no kissing the homies.
But let's not act like there's no personality. If anything, Gooey is much better as your one and only helper. You can make a stronger connection to the guy, and he has so many goofy, silly, goober animations. You can't just not love the guy. He even gets to appear at the end of the game with its own mock matter form.
But speaking of appearing, the one thing Superstar multiplayer objectively has over Dreamland 3 is how Dreamland 3 doesn't let you use Gooey in the minigames or boss endurance modes. You can still use him in the normal minigame stages, he even gives you double chances, but the standalone minigame mode? That's too much, I guess.
But even still, 2 games in and we already have a multiplayer that's even better than the games releasing these days. I can't wait to see what the next game has in store.
That's it? Only 3 minigames?
3 whole minigames? Shimamura does it again, that guy never misses. Woo!
It's a pretty well known fact nowadays, but originally Kirby 64 was going to feature multiple player characters in the form of Waddle-Dee, Adeline, and Dedede, but only Dedede remained as a playable role.
Actually, there's a couple of one of these segments where you play as him.
Nuh-uh, you play as the boat.
I don't even think that's a boat.
As I was saying, we don't know much from this point of development. We don't know why it got removed, and we don't know if this is also the reason why standard multiplayer doesn't exist in Kirby 64. But who knows, it might have just been console limitations.
But whatever was the reason for no standard multiplayer, the Nintendo 64 was the ultimate multiplayer console, so of course they had to force it somehow, and they did it by adding 2 of the best sub-games of all time, and a 100-yard hop.
We have my personal favorite one, Bumper Crow Bump, when you need to grab as many apples as possible as they fall by switching places with the other players, and that song, straight fire.
But it doesn't compare to my favorite, Checkerboard Chase. Whereas the other minigames are chaotic but they're pretty easy to follow, as strange as that sounds, Checkerboard takes the basic concept of making blocks fall and cranks it up to 11. It's so good, although the music is not really that good as Bumper Crop Bump, but who cares.
There's also a 100-yard hop. It's not bad or anything, it just exists. The concept is a classic, one button to jump 1 space, one to jump 2 spaces. My main problem comes from how awkward it feels, like I can't tell where I'm supposed to press the buttons, so I just keep on mashing.
I'm not taking part in that video. I'm not taking part in the video. I'm not humiliating myself like this. No matter which one you play, something I really like about this game, and something other Kirby games wouldn't implement, is the difficulty options. By playing and winning against at least one CPU, you can unlock harder difficulties. The other games also had multiple difficulties, but this is the first time where it changes layouts and backgrounds of the stages. For example, in Bumper Crop Pump, you can switch between the seasons to then go to the skies while collecting gems and avoiding bombs.
In addition to all that, this game is also pretty important to the series. It's the first Kirby game that can be played with up to 4 players. It might only be a couple minigames, but they're so great, we can't help but love them.
But for a true 4-player Kirby experience, we had to wait a couple more years with one of the most strangely influential games in the series.
Nightmare in Dreamland's multiplayer, just like in many other aspects of this game, goes one step forward and 2 steps back when it comes to adding new stuff to this old game.
If you connect 4 Game Boy Advance together with their link cable, you can select this little option to play together. And unlike with GUI, you don't play as another character that plays similar to Kirby, but instead, another Kirby altogether. Crazy to think this is the game that introduced that concept, outside from Kirby.
And that's because the old system of leader and support is gone. Now everyone has their own screen. Kinda.
It's weird, everyone has their own screens where the camera follow them, but you can't go too far from the other players. The screen will literally stop scrolling and the doors will close if you aren't near enough to the other players.
Which is crazy to say since this is the same type of scenario Sakurai wanted to avoid while making Superstar. And even outside of that, there's a ton of other small downsides like how it really manages which save file to use. It took us some time to realize, but it takes the save file whoever is the farthest back in the game. So for this example, Savi had a 100% save file while I was just starting border building. No matter who started the session, it would always put us in my save file.
Or how it handles life. If you die on a screen, you need to wait for the other players to enter the next screen, and if you run out of lives, you need to beg the other players to give you some.
So even though it improves in ways like the 7 screens or the 4 players, Nightmare in Dreamland might be one of the worst multiplayer experiences in the series, at least from the ones that actually had traditional co-op. Not saying it is bad or anything, we still had tons of fun playing together. It just isn't optimal. Also, the minigames are pretty fun, even if you cannot play Meta Nightmare multiplayer. At least boss endurance seems possible.
But not everything is lost, as this game would set the groundwork for one of the most acclaimed titles in the series for its multiplayer.
Amazing Mirror is one of the most unique games in the series. With its semi-open world, you can go beat every boss in any order you want. But its second main selling point is the multiplayer. It keeps the 4 multicolored Kirby's of Nightmare in Dreamland, but this time it actually has some story reason, as Dark Banana slices Kirby in 4. For some reason. And they will fuck around the map doing stuff.
And that's where the multiplayer fun comes from. By linking your games together, 4 people can all explore the huge map together or separate. This is a huge improvement from Nightmare in Dreamland, as everyone still has their own screen, but they are not limited by each other. This means you can be in a completely different part of the map from your friend, but with a quick call, you can warp star right back to the others.
While it does have many of the interactions from Superstar, outside of kissing the homies, exploring this huge map with someone else is simply so much fun. There's a lot of simple beauties. Walking around and randomly finding your friend, taking 2 different paths on the same screen, helping your friend with a puzzle, or fighting bosses together and doing the Kirby dance. All that makes an already uniquely fun game even more fun. So I have no idea.
Oh, not the kiss! Sexual harassment in my Kirby game.
I cannot get up.
This is so fucking funny.
Okay.
That's also not mentioning stuff like the spray paints, letting everyone choose their own colors, or the sub-games being as fun as ever. Save files are also handled much better. When you start a session, the game asks you what save file to use, even telling you how much % they have.
The only real problem with this side is that sometimes it can lag from time to time if there are too many players in one screen doing stuff. One person pausing makes everyone stop playing, and the fact is multiplayer is still locked behind the Game Boy Advance. The DS, 3DS, and Wii U all had Amazing Mirror, but none of them could play in multiplayer. And the one place where you can play in multiplayer with no stupid link cables or anything like that is with the Nintendo Switch Online expansion service in the Game Boy Advance app. But sadly, Nintendo is a bitch who won't release the damn game. It's been more than 7 months. What the fuck?
What were they thinking?
But still, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror features one of the best multiplayers in the series. It's so good, it completely transforming the experience without really taking away from the single player. I can't wait for what the next game has in store. This is your 64 and over again!
Kirby Squeak Squad has no regular multiplayer option. Instead, it goes the Kirby 64 route and just includes free new minigames to play with others. And sadly, this time the quality can save this title.
I bet you didn't even know you could play with others. No one brings these minigames up, and not even Kirby has them in their multiplayer page. And that may be because these games are, how do I put it, not that good.
We have Speedy Tea Time, which is just a reskin of Speed Eaters, but instead of pressing A, you have to physically touch the cake with the touchscreen while Storo cheats! So, overall, a worse version of a mid-sub game.
There's Smash Right, in which you need to flick Kirby around to bump into other players outside the ring. Which sounds fun in concept, and in something like Mario Land where you have buttons, it is. But here it's just awkward to control, making it really frustrating in higher difficulties.
And then, there's Treasure Shot. The good one. It's very simple, just flick in the direction of one of the chests to get more points than your opponent, and that's it. It's by far the best one by being fast, snappy, and not requiring to be super precise with the touchscreen.
From our descriptions, you can tell we don't really like these sub-games that much. They're not as replayable as 64s, and the use of the touchscreen really kills it for us. But that might be because how we recorded the footage. You haven't died. No!
No, what did I do?
Calm down, the footage.
Okay, wait.
Wait.
Okay, you fix this.
Yeah, let me fix it.
I'm sorry,
No,
I got too
stop.
carried.
Okay, we're keeping that in the video. But to be fair, this game does introduce a couple key features that will later be used many times in the future.
First being wireless play. No more need for Game Boy Link cables, you can just put two DSs close to each other and you can easily connect hassle-free. And with download play, you can play together without the need of two copies.
So wait, what's the difference between download play and regular wireless? Is there a reason to even get two copies?
I don't think so. I know games like Mario Kart DS heavily limit you with what you can do, but Squeak Squad multiplayer is so basic it doesn't really matter.
Well, that just sounds like less a reason to get Squeak Squad. That's good enough for me. Okay. I won't be mean to Squeak Squad today.
I will.
I said not today. It also introduces a room system. It's pretty simple in concept and it wasn't even invented by Kirby Squeak Squad. But this simple room system will then go to appear in almost every Kirby game since, even appearing as recent as Dream Buffet.
Dream of Fate mentioned, yeah!
Yeah. So even if it didn't do anything in general, it still left a mark in the series' multiplayer history. And while we're on the DS, let's just quickly talk about the one DS Kirby game with real multiplayer.
Kirby Superstar Ultra introduces the Helper system. Once Kirby gets an ability, he can then get rid of the ability, but instead of just transforming it into a star like the previous games, in Superstar Ultra this creates a special helper depending on what ability you use. Wait, this is just Superstar but again!
Breaking news, man discovers Kirby Superstar Ultra is just Superstar.
Well, there are a couple of differences. The main one is that Kirby can now press minus to get rid of your ability without lending your ability to your helper. And it's Superstar Ultra. So it's actually good.
Gaslight and delusion aside, for better or worse, Superstar Ultra works exactly how Superstar does. You can still do all the cool interaction, you can still kill the homies, you can still use Wheelie Rider, so the game becomes good again. And aside from what Savi said, the only difference comes from what Ultra adds to the game. Every new mod adding in Ultra can also be played in multiplayer.
And that includes 3 new sub-games. Kirby and Draw and Kirby Card Swipe are all about quick reactions, while Snack Tracks is the best one, all of which can be played with up to 4 players. They all work so well by using the touchscreen in a much better way than Squeak Squad. If you notice, all of them just simply require you to tap the screen, which makes it much more snappy than awkwardly swiping across the screen. And if you still want to play the old sub-games from the original game, you can! Isn't this game just the best?
That's cool enough, but Superstar Ultra's multiplayer is sadly affected by the system it's on. In the original, you just pick up the Sega controller and start playing, but because this is a DS, you need a whole other console to play in multiplayer. And reminder, this is still Superstar, which means one has to be the Kirby, while the other is the helper. It makes sense that one player was more important than the other in the SNES era, but after Nami and Dreamland created multiple Kirbys with their own screen, this just feels limited to the second player. I mean, technically you don't even need the second screen, the camera still follows only Kirby, so there's literally no difference between the two consoles.
You say that, but if you're playing with download play, you only have access to the sub-games and 2-player Spring Breeze, a version of Spring Breeze that only player 1 can play, which means player 2 has to look at the other screen of the other player to see what they're doing. So, yeah, there is no difference. But it's still Superstar Ultra, so if you can get past that initial barrier, you still have the wonderful chance to play one of the best Kirby games ever made with another person, and that's an amazing experience you just can't forget.
But enough of that baby shit, time for some real gaming. I know we said no spin-off, but Epic Yarn is close enough, so we will let it slide.
Epic Yarn is one of the simplest multiplayer modes, very similar to how GUI was before. The second player plays as Prince Fluff, which just works like another Kirby but blue and with big eyebrows. But unlike Dreamland Free, you can interact with each other.
There's a lot you can do. You can stand on their heads, you can throw them off a cliff, you can ground pound the other one off the screen, and while using certain transformations, you get access to new moves in co-op. Also, love the fact is whoever touches transformation first, the one who controls it, not some priority bullshit. It can get a little chaotic, especially in vertical heavy levels, but 90% of the time, it's a blast.
A big reason why it's so good is because Epic Yarn is just a slower, more platformy game than other Kirby games. By not having abilities, the pace of the game stays consistent, making the game a constant joy.
Or it is until someone falls to a pit of spikes and loses all of beats.
Listen, you are the one that threw me.
Skill issue aside, this game has that Mario 3D World aspect of competitive co-op. You share beats, so you have to keep the other one safe, but at the same time, the one who collects the more beats does a little dance. Not as cool or important as the crown, but hey, it gives me a reason to troll Savi, so I'll take what I can.
That's it! I'm not inviting you to my apartment anymore.
But how will I watch pizza with a Meta Knight plush?
Fine. Yippee! And with no transition whatsoever, peak! At any time during gameplay, up to 3 other players can hop in and choose between playing as Meta Knight, King Dedede, Bandana Waddle Dee, or just another Kirby.
Fellas, this might be it. This just might be the single best multiplayer in the series. It's so simple yet so great. No more needing for abilities, no need to connect multiple consoles, just grab a Wiimote and play. The extra characters are so fun to play with. Meta Knight is a fusion of sword and wing, Dedede is a sillier hammer, and Bandana is a cute spear. And if you feel too limited by their movesets, you can switch at any time into a different color Kirby that can do everything normal Kirby can, which includes Super Inhale and Super abilities.
Not to mention, all the little interactions that Superstar added out here and then some. Introducing Piggyback, just ride your buddies and have fun.
Wait a minute.
And if you hold the guard button and release it at the same time, you can shoot a special team attack. There's multiple team attacks depending on who is at the bottom of the stack, so it's fun to use and experiment with.
There's so many little details in multiplayer, like the way the pop flower change colors depending on who touches them, all of them having multiple different animations when dancing, all of them getting their own little floaties. It's just so hard to explain how simply perfect it is. No problem with the camera or level design, everything is so snappy and fun.
But if we have to say something negative, it would probably have to be the 2 new sub-games. Ninja Dojo and Scope Shot are not bad, they are great even. But from a quick multiplayer break from the main game angle, they kind of fall. Ninja Dojo is a little on the long side, while Scope Shot is more cooperative rather than competitive. Great for going through all the levels at once, but really hard to concentrate play as, say, Checkerboard Chase. And in fact there's only 2 new sub-games instead of the usual 3 from previous games, it's kinda lame.
But who cares about dumb sub-games anyway? It's all about the main mode, and it does that perfectly. Again, I cannot stress how good it is. My favorite memories in gaming come from playing Returnal with my brother, and playing again with a friend like Savi thanks to the power of my Nintendo PC. It's just a great time.
I also have very fond memories of playing this game with my family, and just like Sonico said, playing it again with other friends that are in completely different parts of the world is incredible. But then again, that's not technically part of the game. If only how re-released Return to Dreamland online multiplayer. More people need to try this.
But enough foreshadowing. With Returnal multiplayer being so great, I can't wait for what the next game has in store. You get the joke by now. Deluxe and Player both handle multiplayer basically the same way. There's no regular multiplayer whatsoever, but I say we only have one sub-game each, which might sound really bad at first, but they make up for being way bigger than any sub-game before.
Deluxe is Kirby Fighters, a platform fighter akin to Smash Bros, which just goes to show how much Smash took from Kirby Superstar, so Kirby taking the idea back is a strange but cool thing to see. There's 10 abilities to choose from and 7 stage play-in with 11 items to mess around with. So while it's not the same as Smash, it has plenty to do and fun to be had. The single player is basic but good enough on its own, but it also has its own wireless multiplayer and download play, so you can have fun playing with other people. Even if it's really lacking in options, some abilities can feel a little clunky to control due to how they decide to balance the game by making everyone slower. I mean, you can even play with teams, but again, it's a good time waster with friends.
Meanwhile, Player
What's Wrong.
Never again. Never again.
Dude, come on, the original Kirby Clash is really short, it has no microtransactions. It's fine.
If you say so. Full Hand Robot has Team Kirby Clash, a boss rush type game with RPG elements in which you and your party of 3 other Kirbys can choose from 4 different roles and defeat the enemies ahead. This version of Kirby Clash is really basic compared to what it would become. Only 6 enemies to fight, with 2 of them being Landia, and your max level is only 10. As a little side mode adventure, it's fine, but as a multiplayer game it falls in the same way Scope Shot does. It's fun to play with your friends once or twice beating all the bosses, but has no replay value outside of that.
These two games are so weird. They have much more depth than any sub-game before. They are great ideas, but they fall flat for just being that. Ideas. By being limited to just sub-games, they don't get the opportunity to spread their wings further and actually make some of the most interesting Kirby games out there. Huh.
Give it a couple more years.
Double huh.
Wait! These 2 games do have more multiplayer than that! There's a 3+ special bonus side on the bandana it gives you!
That doesn't count!
Okay, Mr. Fun Killer, but that does make me wonder, was there really no regular Kirby platform in the 3DS with real multiplayer? No, that doesn't sound right, there has to be something. Oh, I got it! Extra epic yarn! The original had it. Oh, dude, I can already see it. Both players
Sonico?
have their own screen. Maybe you can play the new
Sonico.
sub-games together. Maybe you can
Sonico,
mess with the abilities.
hello?
Wait. What if you could
Earthgoing
share your
Sonico,
apartment
so
with
we can go
others?
with her.
Or exchange furniture?
Come on,
That would be
Sonico.
so
Sonico!
sweet. Oh, yeah, Savi, what's up?
You know, how do I explain it to you? Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn has no multiplayer at all. It's replaced by Devilish mode.
What?
I know that sounds bad.
Do we really need to talk about Starlight?
Of course we have to. It's like the most important Kirby game in this topic. Don't you like Star Allies?
I would call it more like a toxic relationship, but yeah, I guess there's no beating around the bush, isn't there? Long story short, Kirby GCN was a GameCube game that was cancelled for multiple reasons, one of which was because they couldn't really figure out the multiplayer. As you see, it took the helper system from Superstar and tried to expand it upon it with 4 players, but that didn't really work out. Fast forward 14 years later, and Kirby Saga finally accomplished what Kirby GCN couldn't, by making a Kirby game based around the 4-player helper system. So, before getting cancelled, let's talk about how it works. Due to reasons I don't want to complain about today, Kirby has the ability to throw friend hearts at enemies to make them their helpers, and aside from that change, they work very similar to how helpers work in Superstar.
Never escaping this bummer's game, huh?
While not every interaction from Superstar and Return to Dreamland came back, things like killing your friends and kissing the homies did. But there is one more crucial change from Superstar, and that being helpers can now also throw friend hearts to change into whatever other ability they want. This fixed my biggest issue with Superstar. Even though you still need an ability for the other players to spawn, at least now they can switch between abilities as much as they want. But Starlight's biggest addition is the combo system. Just hold up and let your friends power you up with quick one-time use transformations or by powering your weapons with elements. So from a mechanical level, it's all good.
But well, from a game design perspective, that's a little bit spicier, and I would even say it's divisive. The game was clearly built around multiplayer, but at the same time, it wasn't. Some level design parts, like the split paths from the first level, are clearly thought of as a way to collaborate and incentivize playing with friends. Although, there are some other aspects of the game, mainly the friend actions. Unlike the transformations of Epic Yarn, where every player had different actions they could do or where everyone transforms, in Star Allies it's either one player gets to have all the fun while others just look and throw some useless stars, or everyone gets to control the transformation at the same time. So it's all about how the game wakes up that morning. For a game built around multiplayer, it's something, alright? But I'll let Sonico do the rest of the talking.
Thanks. Now that nobody's looking... This game is made us fuck.
I see where the toxic part is coming from.
Like, I'm sorry, but the multiplayer just made the level design so boring. Due to having to handle 4 players, the levels are so big and filled with nothing. And even if they are enemies, you have a squad of the 3 strongest motherfuckers in the universe, so it's not like there's any difficulty. The only difficulty comes from getting the ability you want without the enemy dying. It was actually so bad, they had to make the enemies bounce after being attacked by the helpers in an update. And don't even get me started on the puzzles. Just throw a friend heart to the ability essence right next to you and watch the helpers do everything, and bosses Oh my god, the bosses. In a game with elemental weaknesses, I don't think it should be legal to roll out with a squad all power up with a certain element. Look how fast that Hellbat drops, my god! And dude, can we talk about how this game has horrible power scaling? Good luck using abilities like Beetle or Spider. It's all about getting a weapon type ability and fusing it with an element.
Never letting you cook again.
Personal top 5 Kirby game, by the way.
Come on, it's not that bad. Well, it came from Super Mid, the helper system is still so fun. I love playing as so many different characters, especially in a mode like Guest Star.
Are we sure you're not the one in a toxic relationship?
Perhaps, but you also need to appreciate all the Dream Friends they added in the updates. The base game already had the Return to Dreamland trio, and the later updates not only gave them new moves, but they also added iconic characters such as Gooey, Adeline, Maglor, and Susie.
That's true. Something I forgot to say is how Piggyback had a secret about letting you control your CPU friends.
I was about to say, yo, I'm riding Susie, but...
Aw, gotta wish.
Okay, try to... Okay, I'll try to... Okay, Darochi, you ride me,
Aw,
and Susie will ride... Wait, shut. Okay,
I just would not talk anymore if I were you.
yeah.
So even with all the problems we mentioned, in the end, Starless is still a very fun game. If you get a friend to play with, the game becomes a lot better. It's almost like the game was designed for multiplayer.
But from a game built around multiplayer to one that barely anyone remembers it has one, we have...
Well, moving from that, we have Forgotten Land, an incredible game that completely redefines Kirby as we know him. A game so great I could make an entire 2-hour video on why it's a masterpiece. Oh wait, I did! But multiplayer? No one really talks about it, and that may be because, well, it exists. It kinda has that superstar problem where...
I swear to god, can we please stop talking about mid?
Shush! It has that problem where you can give it the benefit of the doubt for being the first of its kind in the series, but has some problems that drag it down the experience a bit.
At any point, you can pause the game and add a second player to join you. It's not as snappy as Return to Dreamland or even Starlights, but it's still pretty fast. Now, who you play as? In this case, it's Bandana D again. Man, they really are making him the de facto second player, huh? And it's not like other games where you can switch between other characters, you're stuck with Bandana D.
Well, if you're stuck with Bandana D, at least you get a banger moveset to go with it. Bandana D is by far the most complex ability in the game. You have a normal jab attack, throwing spears, the water copter into a moon drop, and even the ground thrust for the newest update of Starlight. And while he can use Malfa mode, in the bigger transformation he can help you out by throwing spears, and even when he's not doing that, he's a joy to watch. Especially with all the cute animations when eating in the Wild Bee Cafe or when sleeping in Kirby's house.
Wait, let's try again. I think there's different positions.
Yeah.
Different ways.
Aw,
That was an accident, I swear. That's cute and all, but remember that it's stuck with Bandana D part? That also goes for player 1, which means Spear is once again locked behind Bandana D. Which is a shame since again, this is by far the most complex moveset in the game, and you can't even use it outside multiplayer.
And speaking of complex, Bandana D straight up tells you he gets stronger alongside Kirby's ability evolution, but even by switching save files and trying stuff out, we couldn't really notice the difference. So I went on Twitter asking if anyone got proof of this being real, and actually got a couple responses telling me that it did increase the damage. But then Unfi Kirby modder JC directly went to the files of the game and didn't see any difference. So either Bandana D is the Gaslight King, or the game does some wacky changes that are hard to see in the code. Don't know why I was surprised about this, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think my two biggest problems with multiplayer is how little brother mode it feels. You can't go 2 steps away with Kirby without getting teleported, enemies will ignore you, you barely interact with gimmicks of the stage, and the camera doesn't even know you exist. But my second biggest problem is that it feels like the multiplayer is too focused on making sense story-wise. It's hard to explain.
I can see where you're coming from, and it really made me see Forgotten Land in a different way. Everything makes sense? There's not a main menu, there's no real sub-game, no sound test option, no regular cutscene viewer, no arena mode. All of those aspects are contextualized into Waddle Dee Town itself as different building or activities. Even something as simple as looking at your figure collection is contextualized as Kirby looking at the figure in his house.
And in the case of multiplayer, you can't only use Bandana D because it makes sense story-wise. You can't even activate 2-player story mode until beating the first stage for story reasons. We might have given shit to Superstar and Star Allies for not allowing you to start with multiplayer, but having to wait a whole ass level to start playing is just something else.
The game taking its more video game elements more serious does make the game feel more professional and big AAA level. But at the same time, it does have its downsides, like with the sub-games. There's the Big Fiction Flash Fishing, but that barely counts as a sub-game. There's Waddle Dee Cafe Help Wanted, where you want to satisfy the customers the fastest, which, I'll give it this sub-game. It's actually pretty different to playing solo. Once again bringing that chaotic balance of co-op and competitive, as you two still need to beat the stage together, so one messing up hurts both. And there's Tilted Roll Kirby that has no multiplayer.
Thank God. These sub-games are fine, but only one of them really counts as a multiplayer sub-games, and they're so normal compared to what we had before. We were hitting meters with a baseball bat in the last game!
Well, Forgotten might have dropped the ball with its multiplayer, but this final game is the culmination of everything that makes multiplayer so special. Okay, this might be really hard to explain, so listen carefully. Think of how redundant it is multiplayer on the Wii. Yeah, it's basically the same. So it's Big Fiction! Yeah! But unlike Superstar Ultra, there are actual changes. Every single one of the Dreamland trio have new moves from the final up to the allies, and if you drop your super ability, the other characters can pick it up. I'm also confused how that wasn't possible in the original. You are not alone.
But, you know how the only bad thing about the original was the sub-games? Well...
Oh boy, here we go again.
Mary Magdalene is so f***ing good. Rawr! They brought back some of the best sub-games from the series, and also Smash Right. They also made so that, like Kirby 64, you can play as different characters, and the level of customization is so f***ing good. Because you can get the masks. Okay, I'll talk about the masks. Please let me talk about the masks. I've been dying to talk about the masks.
No.
The question was rhetorical. I f***ing love masks. They make everything more personal, and they also make so that you have a reason of the mode, and like, oh my f***ing bro, the games are so f***ing good.
Savi, we're talking about the mood.
And then it's so good because, like, yeah, you can play the old songs still. I fucking love this mode. And Mary Magdalene 2 is so fucking fun. And it makes me playing the sub games more enticing. Shut the fuck up, Babylon fans.
That's cool and all, but I want to talk about the fact there's no online multiplayer for no f***ing reason.
If I have to play with the voice in my head, I will.
Delusion aside, that's really the one thing holding this mode back. In my video about this game, I really made it clear how no real online multiplayer killed the game. But after that video and seeing how no other 2D platformer had traditional online, I can cut the game some slack. Or I would, if Mary Magdalene itself had an excuse. Going back to those other games, while they don't have online, they do have extra modes like Sonic Superstars Battle Mode and Mario Wonder's Ghost Thingy. So it would have been great to have that as an option here. And no, Samurai Kirby 100 doesn't count.
But you have to agree the mode is very fun and high quality. Every little detail from the original sub-games is here and improved.
That's true, and actually having the chance to play with someone else thanks to my Nintendo PC, it's a really fun time. Not to mention the two new sub-games, Magor Tomo Truckers and Booming Blasters are crazy.
But if you really want to complain, then there's Magalore Epilogue.
What's wrong with Magor Epilogue?
Up, down, attack.
I have no idea where
Where am I? Oh, I'm on you.
Okay, maybe it's a little unbalanced, but with the main mode still being as fun as ever, Mary Magdalene being an incredible collection of the sub-game legacy, and Magor Epilogue being chaos, I think we can confidently say this is by far the best multiplayer game in this series.
Yeah, and you know, going this journey made me realize that despite trying multiplayer before, this time around I really started to appreciate multiplayer for what it brings to the series.
I have to agree with that. Multiplayer is one of the most overlooked aspects in the series, but with this video, one can really tell it's not as simple just having multiple characters on screen. There are a lot of factors that go into play, like the camera, interaction between the characters, adjusting to the level design, what console is on. It takes a surprising amount of effort, and hopefully we were able to show the many ups and downs that the series had to go through to get to where we are. And you know what? Just for shit and giggles, let's rank this game by how good their multiplayer is.
I've been held hostage for now 40 minutes, but yeah, sure.
14. Squeak Squad. Only has sub-games to play with and all of them are made, bottom at the least.
13. Plant Robot. Kirby Collection is definitely better than all the free Squeak Squad sub-games combined, but it still doesn't make it better than anything else in the list.
12. Deluxe. Kid Fighters is leagues better than anything before by being insanely replayable. But the fact this version feels so basic and there's better options like Fighter DX and Fighters 2, put it down here, or just stop f***ing around and play Smash.
11. 64 in the Crystal Shards. Definitely the best of the sub-game only games by having 2 of the best minigames in the series and 100-yard hop. But it still doesn't compare to the games that have real multiplayer.
10. Dreamland. It introduced some key aspects like the 4 multicolored Kirbys and everyone having their own screen. That's fun and all, but it's so limited by the camera that it actually makes the level design worse.
9. Forgotten Land. Great first attempt in 3D, but banality is simply too limited and the game forgets to even exist half of the time. Couple that with only one good sub-game and you have a multiplayer that's still fun, but the definition of Little Jimmy McJimmy mode.
8. Superstar Ultra. While better than the original Superstar in some aspects, availability really kills it. When was the last time you had the chance to play this in person? The answer is probably never.
7. Superstar. Sakurai does a Sakurai and creates an overly complex system for no reason at all other to be cool. While abominable in some ways, the helper system is really killed by how clunky it is to switch between abilities. It might sound like a small thing, but switching abilities every 2 steps is integral to the Kirby experience, and it makes this game so much harder to do so.
6. Stylize. While improving in every single way, the helper system is held back by stylized, questionable level design, overly broken mechanics, dumb friend abilities, and overall making the game brain dead easy. But we can't deny how fun it is controlling so many characters, and playing with a real human makes it so much better.
5. Dreamland 3 doesn't really do anything that bad. Gui is a great Kirby-like character and it's very fast up and down of playing. Its only problem is that it doesn't do anything special like the last 4 games.
4. Epic Yarn. Okay, we lied. Epic Yarn also doesn't do anything special, but the slower pacing makes up for a better multiplayer experience. Interaction between Kirby and Fluff are really fun, so it goes above Dreamland 3.
3. Amazing Mirror. The huge open world map and lack of limitations make this one of the best Kirby multiplayer experiences. It's a little clunky to set up, but it's simply so much fun. Maybe with the game now being available on NSO, it might even get the first or second place, but as of now, we still think there are 2 better games.
2. Return to Dreamland. Now this is big multiplayer. Multiple playable characters, including different color Kirbys, decent selection of seconds, and a lot of options like piggyback. That Meta Knight gliding alone puts it this high, but sadly loses it out because of one key side mode.
1. Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Merry Magdalene, woo! Also Epilogue, I guess. It's the same game, but better, so it wins.
Whew, we are finally done. As we said before, multiplayer in Kirby games is a key aspect of the series that more people should try out and appreciate. I gotta say, Savi, while you have takes, it was really sweet of you to come along with me for this video.
Making this video was so much fun. We've been friends for a while, but strangely never directly collabed in your plays, whereas you've been in countless projects of mine. Well, this was super fun, especially since I never got the chance to play many of these games in multiplayer. Thanks again for having me.
I had a blast playing with you. Hopefully we can do something like this in the future. Hey, just like I said at the start of this, if this video does well enough, we might tackle the spin-offs, including a certain Wii U game we had to cut for time reasons. But what do you think about the multiplayer in Kirby games?
You're talking to me?
Not you silly, the people watching at home. Have you played in multiplayer before? What's your favorite game while doing so? And what do you think the future of the forgotten great feature will be? Tell me all that and more in the comments below. And while you're down there, why not hit the like and subscribe button for more content like this one? That's all.
Wait, can we please do the outro together?
Fine.
That's all from us.
And we will see you
On the next drive.
Yo, post-production Sonico here to say that this video was an incredible experience to make. I had so much fun recording the footage with Savi, and the script was so full of energy with great mix of funnies and actual video essay stuff. Playing off someone as fun as Savi made the video 10 times better. Hopefully I could probably display his wonderful personality to you all. So I have to thank him once again for joining me. And speaking of Savi, he left his own message.
Hey yo, it's post-recording Savi. It's been a good video to record. This has been very fun. It's been kind of hectic to set up and such, but it's been a fun experience playing all these games back to back. So you know what to do. Go down, click the subscribe button to Sonico VTuber right now, and maybe perhaps if you want a little bit more of, you know, that Savi madness and Sonico madness, you can check out my Dream of Fate tournament or any of my other videos. It really helps out. Well, that being said, Savi out. That's my outro. That's a YouTuber reference. Yo, yoo-hoo!
With all that said, just look forward to a couple of 2D platformers you guys know I will play. So, bye!